I guess we've always kind of tried to have every record as a bit of a time sort of capsule or whatever, and try something different, and then sort of move on and try something else after that, and sort of make it a bit thematic or conceptual maybe.
I've read, I'm sort of intrigued by something I read that says that some of your records are made very improvisationally, and then some of them you actually labor quite a bit over, and they're thought out quite a bit and rehearsed quite a bit. Can you talk a little bit about that?
I guess like you could say, yeah, it's like a big difference between I'm in Your Mind, Fuzz and Quarters. It was like I'm in Your Mind, Fuzz. Yeah, we did labor over that one, and it was like, even though it's kind of jammy, it was pretty sort of rehearsed, and yeah, we spent a lot of time.
We started sessions doing that in Melbourne. It would have been like at the end of 2013, but then kind of like we incorporated all those new songs from Mind Fuzz into our set and kind of got them tighter and tighter, and they started to develop. And then we ended up recording that record, or the rest of the record, at Daptone last November. So yeah, but then there's like Quarters, which is, you know, Stu just had a couple of ideas, and literally like the day before we had some studio time at Daptone booked in again. Just, where was it? That amazing kind of bar in Brooklyn we just kind of hired.
Oh yeah.
And we just like kind of rehearsed it and just fleshed it out, and then just went into Daptone the next day and just like, I don't know, just then that was Quarters. Like it's kind of just whatever happens type thing.
When you read reviews of the band's albums, a lot of labels, genre labels thrown out, but you really cover touchstone on a lot of different musical styles, a lot of jazz, you know, in your sound. And it seems like you're mostly just fueled by discovery and exploration and experimentation. I mean, I'm curious where the jumping off point is for some of your records.
Yeah, I guess that's kind of always been the thing of just sort of making each record a bit of an experiment in its own way, sort of like within some bounds. So like every record's kind of have a vague theme, and then sort of try and experiment within that theme.
Cellophane, hot water, and hot wax. So how do these things like? How do you get them in the fantasy world?
Yeah, I guess they're just things. Sometimes you just kind of think of something, and then it becomes a song before you know it. It's just, you know, you're just getting in there and you're thinking about something, and then, you know, you're kind of thinking about it as a song, and then there's this music. And, yeah.
I wanted Quarters to be able to play at the end of I'm in Your Mind, Fuzz and feel like it wasn't out of place. Like I'm in Your Mind, Fuzz is very heavy, but it gets more chill as it kind of ends, and then Quarters is very chill.
And it just picks up right where Mind Fuzz left off.
Yeah, that was kind of the point.
Yeah.
It was meant to be companion, but also like a little bit polar as well, sort of different, exploring like opposite sides of the coin or whatever.
One thing I'm really kind of keen to find out, you've got this album and a ton of different albums we've tried. Concept like Quarters was another one that just really kind of pushed into different territories, having like 4 distinct segments. Are there any other kind of ideas that are rolling around your head that like you're just looking to try and get into in some kind of fashion?
Yeah, I mean, definitely in terms of musical kind of ideas, and I mean, to me, if you're not exploring, or, you know, if you're not kind of being creative, or you're not, I don't know, challenging yourself in some way, then it's not really very fun. So, yeah, there's always kind of something to explore.
I mentioned that you had, and I just heard recently that you have a new album coming out in November, Mache Dream Balloon. I've only heard one song from it, and I can definitely tell it's a King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard album. Your sound is definitely in there, but you took a bit of a left turn on that record, even though we haven't heard anything from you live yet. Can you tell me a little bit about that one?
Yeah, it was a funny one. Yeah, I guess like after those two records we were talking about, they were very sort of concept kind of records and sort of just like thinking records, you know, when you're sort of spending all this time thinking about what music is and kind of less time even kind of writing songs or whatever, and it's sort of weird. So we'd sort of been working on some more stuff like that, even heavier maybe, sort of super concept, just like a song cycle record or whatever, and then I was starting to feel super bummed out by not being able to make a song that's just a song. It's like not some epic thing, and I kind of think that's real dumb. So yeah, we sort of, I guess, challenged ourselves with this Mache Dream Balloon thing. Just say, let's make a record of just songs. They're just standalone songs, and then we sort of said, let's make it all acoustic. So there's no electric guitars or keyboards or anything. It's all like piano and acoustic guitar and flute and fiddle.
Tried our hands at some very incompetent strings.
Yeah, we're pretty bad at
violin.
quite a few of those instruments.
I'm intrigued to hear it. As I said, we've been playing one song so far, and I can definitely hear elements from your other records, but it is quite a change-up, and it's nice.
Yeah, cool. I guess like the songwriting is maybe similar to some stuff we've done before, but it's the whole kind of acoustic thing was sort of the challenge of it. Yeah, this record, I guess you could say, kind of was a palate cleanser, if I don't sound too pretentious saying that. Yeah, you know, we're working on some conceptual, heavy stuff, just really loud, almost prog sort of proto-metal or something, weird stuff. And I wanted it to be this really kind of song cycle album record that would be all linked up and make some form of sense. But the last two records that we put out before Mache were kind of conceptual as well. I just sort of felt like I was thinking about music more than I was playing music, thinking about what music could be or is or whatever. And that's kind of stupid to do that too much. So Mache kind of came about out of that. It was like, let's do something that isn't that for a while. Like, let's make some songs that are just songs. I was kind of feeling like I couldn't write just a 2-minute song about not that much. But I think that it's cool to be able to do that, but I sort of felt like I had this pressure to make all these songs that were like these epic pieces. So I just wanted to escape that for a little bit, and then feel like when we do with the next record, get back to this sort of heavy conceptual stuff that we can like dive right into it and go kind of all out. I think, we originally wanted to make a record which was kind of a suite, with chapters that kind of referenced each other and, had kind of a, not necessarily a narrative, but was kind of a world that you could be kind of like dropped into and things would come back at you. It wasn't like a linear sort of road. It was more of a, being dropped into like a 3D kind of location. And then I think eventually it sort of just made sense to loop it all back around so you sort of couldn't escape the world. I think it was just little by little. The songs sort of naturally evolved, and as other songs took shape, maybe we started kind of grabbing ideas from those ones and kind of implanting them into other ones. And it was almost as if as new songs kind of evolved, they sort of added to to the landscape of the record, and that sort of, you know, cast a shadow upon, you know, some of the other songs. So it was, yeah, it was kind of a slow process of sort of creating this kind of, landscape.
It's really cool, and especially seeing how one leads into another. And when it comes to the videos as well, I just caught the video for was it Vulture People? People Vultures, yeah, last night, which is like some weird like Wizard of Oz meets Power Rangers almost. Like, how did that come into fruition? Like, how did you decide to create that kind of ethos?
I can't take a huge amount of credit for that one, but our boy Jason Gila, who we always collaborate with, he has made all of our record covers and has kind of worked on pretty much everything visually within the band since the start. He collaborated with this other guy, Danny Cohen, these two guys from Melbourne, and they you know, added another level of fantasy on top of the you know, landscape or the kind of narrative that we had created. And yeah, they sort of, you know, brought a lot of their own ideas in, and we talked about things, and you know, I really trust Jason's kind of vision, and his collaboration with Danny is really cool. But that's, you know, that's their vision with our sort of story.
I know Jace is going to collaborate with some other people on the rest of the videos, and he's kind of got a grand plan, and he's sort of, you know, constructed a visual sort of narrative out of the record. So we're kind of giving him free rein to you know, go nuts and extrapolate on the concept.
You talk a lot in past interviews about just working with Jason Gila, your friend, and like the unofficial extra member of Gizzard. And I was wondering, when it comes to your process and just making the music, is it Jason's art that's really kind of influencing you and leading you, or is the music that you guys are making influencing the art that Jason makes, or maybe a little bit of both?
It's definitely a little bit of both. So, you know, when I'm writing, I'm always sending stuff to Jace. We're always kind of, we see each other at least once a week. He's often in our studio or like whatever, and we're talking all the time. But I'm always updating playlists of songs that we're working on, or demos or whatever. And his mind is always kind of ticking about what things are, and he'll send me ideas or sketches or whatever of where he's at with things. He's named several King Gizzard albums. Like, he's definitely, like, this synergy is a real thing, which is pretty cool. But yeah, it is sometimes different. Like, sometimes, you know, the cover does come together in more of a traditional way. It's like the album's pretty much done, and he's like, all right, cover time, let's go. And then other times the cover's done way before the album's done. So, you know, it just depends on the project.
Who did those amazing acrobatics of the big fig wasp? That was insane.
That was actually Cookie.
Yeah.
I'm very nimble. Yeah, he's very nimble. He's
those
massive
are
and nimble.
amazing. Did you put out like a call for those? Somebody had to like source that.
It's called, what was it called? Wushuing?
Wushu?
Wushu?
Is that the style?
That's the style.
What is it, Cookie?
Yeah, Cookie, what is it?
Movements.
I think
how long have you been
training?
Yeah.
I think his name is Tyler.
I think Danny, the guy who directed it or co-directed with Jace, he just sourced it was like a martial artist who could just do all the crazy stuff.
He had a hidden trampoline, and he was doing tricks in it. It was really cool.
I bet you've got to stay nimble and kind of warmed up to be able to do that. That was insane.
He was a freak.
What did you do with the People Vulture after filming the music video? That is one of my favorite things of all time.
It went around.
It's a good story.
It was taken by, we took it to Gizfest.
Yeah, we first took it on a boat to Tasmania, and we set it up at a show at a festival there. It's kind of like an arts festival, and they asked if we could bring it. So we worked out, because it's massive, it's really hard to carry, worked out, put it on a van, and then travelled it on a boat over to Tassie, then got it back, and then we took it to Gizfest. And I think we just put it in the crowd, and like all the fans like grabbed it and used it, and then apparently it's like in a fan's like basement or something. Or it's in their garage. That's what we heard, but we haven't seen it since. It just got taken after the.
Put it out for hard rate. Send us a photo if you have it.
Yeah.
This was very much inspired by playing a lot of shows. When we really started to tour internationally was kind of 2014, and that's
really when the seeds of Nonagon were set. And yeah, we were trying to do this thing in the shows at that point around 2014, where we wanted to start and not stop. And at this point, we weren't doing like long shows like we are now. They might have been, I don't know, 60 minutes felt like a very long show in those days. But we were trying to do this thing where we'd start and play the whole time, and every song would kind of like blend together and mash into each other. And, you know, we didn't want it to be like atmospheric and ethereal. We wanted it to just like be like freakishly intense and like just an absolute assault of like all of your senses. It probably did take us like 18 months of touring to kind of figure out what was going to work in that way. And in fact, we did. We started recording it. We made a good dint on it. We actually thought we'd recorded all of it, and we got to the end, and we realized that it wasn't done. And so we took a break, and we made Paper Mache Dream Balloon, and that was like this incredible palate cleanser because it needed to be the opposite thing to Nonagon. It couldn't compete with any of those ideas. Yeah, and so Nonagon has this sort of like intense atmosphere, and everything is just on max and sped up, and there's no downtime, and it's just like press play and then just go. And we were trying to do that, which did actually prove to be harder than we thought, to just insert no breathing space into 9 songs in a row and make them work and make sense back to back.
Every song we were sort of experimenting with different time signatures, and we're also trying to make something that was, pretty heavy and didn't really let up unless it felt like you really, really needed a breath. So, I guess there's, it was the most difficult group of songs to play. We're not super kind of trained musicians or anything. Yeah. So the songs were actually difficult to sort of get together and get feeling sort of tight as a group. So I think that element of it was the most difficult. Obviously, sort of recording it all and making it sound sort of right as a full kind of looping experience thing was a bit tricky as well. The whole process was just mentally sort of challenging more than any record that we've ever made before. Contrasting with Paper Mache Dream Balloon and Quarters, which were both actually really enjoyable records to make. Paper Mache was made in Australia over a couple of months of just weekends, low pressure, just sort of, like taking these kind of loose songs that we had and jamming some sort of weird acoustic instruments over the top, and then Quarters was sort of like really freeform sort of jams, like pretty loose, not very rehearsed or not very structured or anything. So yeah, this one was kind of different to those records and was just a lot more work.